Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are, and however you happen to be joining us here, there, and everywhere across the globe. You have officially made it to the internet's #1 podcast hosted by SP and Kellie about hard things called It's Hardly Working Through It, the show where we deep dive into the nitty gritty of life, love, and labor. I am one of your hosts, SP.
And I'm the other host, Kellie. And today we're going to be talking about finances after apparently we're on the Truman Show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. That's how you started this off.
Yeah, I was really feeling hosty
like, you
today.
are a Jim Carrey fan, and I don't even think that you knew that you did that. But
Does he do that in the Truman Show?
Yeah. Good
Spoilers,
morning,
I've
good
never-
afternoon, and good night.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
He doesn't say it like he's Ace Ventura.
Well, that's the only Jim Carrey impression.
I know. I just needed you to know. I was like, that's not quite it. Have you seen the Truman Show?
I don't know if that thought actually escaped my brain and said was out loud, but I meant to say no. I have not seen the whole Truman Show.
Interesting. Maybe when
Because I was such a big Jim Carrey fan growing up, and I just liked him for his comedies. Did you see the number 23 by Jim Carrey? I didn't think so, but I did, and it was scary. It's weird.
I'm cool. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about our finances. Well, kind of. We're talking about finances in general.
We're going to go back and forth and ask each other how much they make each month, each year, how much we donate to charity.
No.
All of our philanthropic
Here's the deal.
endeavors.
I feel like talking about finances is like a taboo thing in the world, which I think leaves people confused at where they should be, or if they're like behind, like really far behind, or if they're on track, or if they're ahead. And we've talked about this for, I think, the last year of like, how are we doing? Are we doing okay? Like, where are we at? What does that look like? We don't know. We're just going to keep saving money, I guess.
What else can you do?
It's a weird place to be. And I also think our generation doesn't necessarily care about finances, but they go like, we're never going to be able to own a house. Like, it doesn't matter. Just live your life.
I think Gen Z is like that too. We're clearly millennials, but I think Gen Z feels that
But anyways, that's what we're talking about today.
That is what we're talking about. Thanks, Kel. I feel like a news reporter. Yeah, so the way this all got started was I was out on a gig in San Diego a couple of days ago, and Kellie was left home alone to her own devices.
And I spent $50,000. Just kidding.
That's right. That's why we're here. This is really an intervention podcast now.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No, you stumbled across, I don't know his name.
His name
Can
is
you
Caleb
explain a little bit?
Caleb.
A lot of people have probably seen him. I had seen him a little bit, but tell us how we got here.
His name is Caleb Hammer, which I just think is a great last name.
Sure.
Bringing down the hammer. I forget that you actually know people named Hammer.
I do.
But his name is Caleb Hammer. He's like gotten really big on TikTok, I think, because what he does is he literally he has a YouTube show where people can apply to come on, and he will walk through all of their finances. He kind of roasts them like through it, but then he'll also like help them. He'll give them like a kind of an out to be like, if you were to put the minimum down payments or whatever, you'll be out of this by blah blah blah. And then he also has courses that they get for free if you come on the show, or you can pay for it if you're not. Here I am walking out for him, apparently.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to take his classes, but
you saw a specific video of him with a couple.
I did. I saw a couple clips of this Houston couple, which if you're on TikTok at all, you've probably seen it. Cause it's like truly outrageous. Like she is a maniac. She is a spender of money. Someone who takes out loans against her loans, which means she'll take out a loan to pay off her credit card and then fill that credit card back up. So now she just has double the loan at a higher interest rate. She took out a loan to go on vacation and didn't tell her husband. She got a $14,000 boob lift and didn't tell her husband.
Whoa.
And a ton of other things.
Just a lift?
Yeah. They're in like $50,000 worth of debt. They have like liens out against their 401k, at least her 401k. And then she was quoted for saying in the interview, like, cause Caleb was like, what would happen if he told you no? Cause like, you seem like you guys don't talk about finances, or that you don't give him the full picture, or you tell him after the fact, like, you have a problem, you have a problem. So maybe you need to like be talking about this more, but what would happen if he told you no? And her legitimate answer was, I'd probably kick him out of the house.
Yeah. This is a person who's never been told no her whole life.
Yeah, but they have 2 kids. She's a flight attendant sometimes on the weekends. Like when he's not quote unquote playing golf is her thing. She's like, well, if he's playing golf, I can't be a flight attendant. I was like, I don't know how that works.
This whole relationship seems weird.
And he is the one who really brings in the money. And she was like, I'll kick you out of the house. I was like, are you kidding me? Oh, she also flew to California to get her hair done, to which she was like, the flight was free because I did that, but I spent $700 to get my hair done.
That's insanity.
Which I'm learning is probably more normal than you think because
How many times does a woman get her hair done in a year?
Depends on who you are, but I am like a 6-month girl.
So twice.
But
so
not
it
everyone
would be
is that way.
reasonable to spend $1,400 on hair.
Look at me.
Looking.
I'm not saying that that's reasonable. I'm saying that as someone who went to someone once with not knowing how much they charged, and that was the cost. Do you remember this?
Yes.
But we made a deal and it was fine. But because we both are business owners and I had worked for her before and all the things, but I had no idea that people charge that much. Because I remember when I first, this is off topic. Well, I guess talking about finances. I remember the first time I ever got my hair colored and cut, like at a professional salon.
Mm-hmm.
Up until that point, I had like done my friends had done my hair that were like in school. I never got my hair dyed until I was like 20, literally.
Mm-hmm.
I never done it. Just got my hair cut. That was it. Super cuts when my mom would take me. And I think the very first time, I think I paid like $40, maybe 20. I don't know. But they were learning, and I think I was just paying for stuff. And I went to the salon for the first time, and it was going to be like $120 was at the time. So I had to call my mom. So I was like, Mom, I don't have enough money.
For $40 or for
$120.
$120.
I didn't have enough money at the time. I didn't know it was going to be I didn't budget for that. I didn't know. Yeah. So I thought that was a lot of money. And then to find out that like when I went to that place, it was like $500 just for me to get my hair colored, not cut, not anything else. I was like, are you kidding? And then it was like another $125 or something like that for me to get my hair cut.
Dang.
So it's a weird thing where I'm like, it's more normal in LA for it to be that much because I think like if you go to like nicer places, it'll be that much money. I do not. I go to the best place, which is my friend Casey, who's amazing and incredible. That's done my hair for years and years and years, but didn't do it while she was having on maternity leave, which makes sense, which is when I had that like $600 experience. But I think it's insane. I'm not saying to do it. I know that it's normal, but also to fly from Houston or Austin
to LA to get
I don't think it was Austin. I think it's San Antonio. If I'm San Antonio to LA to get your hair done for $700. And he was like, well, did you eat that day? She was like, no. I was like, BS. You were there for 24 hours. You said it.
Yeah. You didn't stop for food.
Yeah. I was like, come on. Anyways.
Well, that's the video that really triggered it for you. For me, last week I saw a very transparent video of this woman who was like, here I am to tell you about my finances so you can feel better about yours. And I think she was probably mid-30s. And she was like, essentially laid out all of her credit cards, which was somewhere around 10 credit cards, which all had some balance ranging from 3 digits up to 5 digits. This woman was in like her and her husband like $50,000-$60,000 of credit card debt that they're trying to pay off. But if you've never been in that much debt, it's hard to understand why you can't pay that off. Is because with interest and all that kind of stuff, it is terrible. Which is actually one of the only benefits I got from years and years ago taking that Dave Ramsey financial freedom course, which I figure we might talk about a little bit too at some point.
Yeah, my mom wanted me to take that course so bad.
Yeah, here's the long and the short of it. There's some good stuff in there. I'm sure there's people on the internet who are going to yell at me, but there's some good stuff in there. There's some stuff that does not make sense in the world that we live in right now.
Yeah.
In terms of like, you can't just walk in with $30,000 of cash to a car dealership and watch people flock to you because you've got cash on hand. No, they actually make more money off of you getting a lease or a loan with the interest. So like things just don't add up. Or you're going to pay for your first house or any of your houses in cash. Well, a house out here costs $750,000. So like you can't just eat rice and beans for all of your meals and save up $750,000.
Yeah,
like it's just not going to be like that.
Yeah.
But the debt snowball did help us, not us, but me and my first wife get out of all of the student loan debt that she had. And that was good. So you can look into that. But anyway, that's what kind of led us to here.
Is that how
talking about
I don't
finances.
know what the debt snowball is.
Debt snowball, I'm going to get it wrong. But if you have like, let's say you've got 5 different credit cards, all with debt.
Uh-huh.
I believe that you take the money that you're spending, instead of like paying off all of them incrementally, you pay off the highest interest one
Oh.
as fast as you can. Then you take all of the money that you were doing there and you do it to the next highest one until the it kind of
That makes
snowballs.
sense.
Yeah.
So you paid the minimum amount for all of them, but you put more
The
money
most towards
into...
the highest one, I
Yeah.
think. Whatever it was, that part seemed to work for us. But do your own research.
That sounds right, though. It makes sense to me.
Could be. There's other stuff that doesn't make sense. But the reason we're here is not just talking about the specifics of our situation or what we've learned along the way, although you will get that. It's going to be talking about, according to the internet, where people should be in terms of debt, savings, retirement, all that kind of stuff. Even who does what. Did you know, speaking of, since we talk a lot about being in a relationship, in terms of married millennials, only 30% of married millennials have separate bank accounts.
That
I
makes
thought
sense.
it would be more than that.
Yeah, I did too.
But 30% of people have at least one separate account that their spouse doesn't have access to,
Interesting.
which was us for a long time.
Yeah, we didn't put our bank accounts together until I left Chick-fil-A, so like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I didn't have access, but like we share everything, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. Kellie's kind of in charge of the overseeing of the finances.
Yeah.
Where for a long time, I was kind of in charge of making the finances.
Yeah.
And now,
Not anymore.
well, yeah, it's definitely
It's
more
shared.
equal now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was surprised and encouraged to hear that. But also, make your own money, have your own money, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. But we did that for, like I said, for a long time. I only have one account that you don't have access to, and it's Brooklyn's savings account, which it's so weird that you don't have access to it, but it's because I
How
opened it
dare
up at Chase.
Yeah. Well, let's talk savings a little bit.
Okay.
So
When I met you,
go ahead.
when we got married, you did not have a savings account. You just kept all of your money in your checking accounts. And I was like, what are you doing?
I will tell you, I was not given a lot of financial literacy tools in terms of like, this is what you should or shouldn't do.
Yeah.
I just knew I needed to accumulate money in order to live.
And you did.
And there weren't a lot of savings accounts that were making me any money. So I was like, screw it.
You didn't look.
I didn't know where to look.
That's totally fair. My mom worked for banks for the majority of my life. And so she would talk to me about all the stuff. Not that I put it into practice until I got older.
Till like a month ago, we just opened some new savings accounts.
Yeah, but we had a good annual interest rate for a while, and then we didn't. And then I was busy.
Yeah.
But I knew what to do. I just wasn't doing it.
Yeah, I never had a savings account because I just assumed it would keep your money in there and there'd be like a penalty. And I was
Some
like,
of them were.
I just rather have access to my money. But apparently, according to the research, you should aim to have about 1 to 1.5 times your annual salary saved for retirement by age 35.
Oh.
Yes, that's a lot of
Well,
money.
Yeah. It's confusing. I need to open. That's a lot. Okay. You can keep going. I don't know.
By 30, you should strive to save at least 1 year's salary in your
Mm-hmm.
401k.
We don't have that. Actually, I have that. You don't have a 401k.
That's true. But that's why we're going to be married forever.
Yeah, I know. I do need to open you up a 401k is what I need to do. Or a Roth IRA, one or the other.
If you haven't done that yet, open yourself up in a
And
thing.
this is weird. If you don't know what it is, a Roth IRA is it is different than a 401k, which is just a normal IRA account.
Yeah.
Well, they're different. 401ks come from like your actual business or company. But if you're a gig worker, you don't necessarily have a 401k unless you make enough money and you're part of SAG-AFTRA and blah, 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 blah. But if you get a Roth one, then I think it's taxed later on in life.
There's an IRA and a Roth IRA,
Yeah.
and it's one of them gets taxed as it goes in when you're in essentially a lower tax bracket, hopefully. The other one gets taxed as you take it out later on in life.
Which is the regular IRA. The Roth IRA is you can put in like taxed money into
yes.
it.
Full disclosure, this is not a podcast for financial literacy.
No.
This
No,
is a
no.
podcast to be like, how does it work?
Yeah,
for
I
us?
just have 2 IRAs is what I have.
Let me ask you this. What percentage of your annual salary do you think should go towards rent or mortgage?
30%.
That is exactly what the number is. 30%.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it changes. We happen to live in one of the most
I'm pretty good.
expensive places in the world to live, in
Yeah.
Southern California. So it's going to be a little bit more than that. But 30% of your paycheck should go towards that.
Yep.
That seems, it just feels so high to me.
It's true.
Especially when like 30% of your paycheck already gets taken out by taxes, and then 30% is supposed to go towards rent. So now you're down to 40% left for everything else, including vacation. Any guesses on what percentage of your income should be vacation?
10%.
5 to 10%. Way to err on the side of higher.
We haven't taken a vacation this year, so
I know we're saving up those percentage
20% next year. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
No, I mean, I was just guessing, but I'm still nailing it.
You are.
Actually, the 30% one I knew. I told you that in the car.
Yeah, the rent?
Yeah.
What you said in the car was
30%
I think it's supposed to be one of your paychecks in a month.
No, like a portion of your paycheck in a month,
Well,
which would be right.
Do you know much about emergency funds?
You should have like 6 months worth of salary in your emergency fund or something like that.
I will tell you this. The other thing that I learned from Financial Freedom or whatever it's called, Financial Peace University, I don't know.
Yeah.
Was the idea of an emergency fund. Mm-hmm. And here's how it works. The first thing you're supposed to do is save $1,000 and put it away.
Okay, check.
And if a person's like, I can't do that, they're like, if you or your kid needed emergency medicine that cost $1,000, would you come up with the money? It's like, yeah, of course. No, he's like, come up with the money. He's like the mob. But anyway, you're supposed to put $1,000 away. Car breaks down, something unexpected.
Yep.
And then after that, you're supposed to try to accumulate between 3 to 6 months of salary.
So I nailed it.
Yes. But the idea is just in case you lose your job or something, so you can look for
so it covers you while you look for another job and you don't feel the pressure of all that stuff.
Which,
cool.
I mean, is a great idea, but yeah, it doesn't necessarily make sense for us because we're always like, wow, what a great gig. Where's the next job? We're always looking for another job.
Yeah, but we do have an emergency fund.
I would say that's one of the most important, truly one of the most important things you can start doing with finances is have an emergency fund. Because when you just keep getting caught off guard by life, it will pound you into the ground if you don't have something saved up.
Yeah.
And also they mentioned this. I feel like I'm just doing a commercial for it. I'm actually not a fan of this course, so take it with a million grains of salt. But things like Christmas are not surprises or emergencies.
Yeah.
You know, those are also things you're supposed to be setting
budgeting
aside,
for, yeah.
Which we don't do that.
We're going to budget this year, I told you.
We should talk about it. We never budget.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
We never talk about budgets, but I like have budget spreadsheets or I'll do that. What you know about me, and I know you know this, is I'm an organized person who likes to know the details. And so like I track how much we make year to year. I track where it comes from. We put in all of our budget expenses, which is part of our taxes. But like I have it all because I like to know how much we're making each month, how much I've earned more each month. Like I can tell you, which is, we'll talk about finances, but I can tell you that this year, I've made $4,000 or more, at least $4,000 every month this year.
Math. Okay.
At least. Some months, much more than that.
Yeah.
But the bare minimum I've made is $4,000 every month. And I know that that is a great increase for me since last year.
Oh yeah, it's been big.
I mean, it's good to know. So I do track some of that stuff. I do try to budget. I tell you this a lot where I'm like, hey, like, I just said it to you the other day. I was like, I want to budget like our groceries, but I have to have a new expectation of what groceries cost because back even a couple of years ago, I was like, oh yeah, you could, like $200 a month on groceries. You cannot spend $200 a month on groceries. It's like $200 a week.
Yeah.
Or every
even
2
back
weeks.
then, I think it was like $200 every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, maybe. Yeah. But like it's way different now. But it's something that I've talked about that I want to start doing. And I want to teach Brooklyn some of that stuff too.
What do you think is like some of the sneakiest categories in terms of spending money that you might not think of? Like streamers.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have like a budget tracker.
Yeah.
That has all that stuff in there. It's like, I do think that stream or subscriptions are the most sneaky ones because I think we just have a ton of subscriptions that just come out. I talk to you about this often, actually, where I'm like, how many just like subscriptions do we have and what should we not be doing and yada, yada, yada.
All of them.
So I think that is the most sneaky because I think it's easy to get signed up for stuff and hard to like cancel it.
Like my dental insurance.
I know, now's the time.
I have dental, y'all, but I have double dental.
Double dental. I think that is the sneakiest.
I think eating out is a big sneaky category. This whole section should just be called sneaky category.
I do not think eating out is a sneaky category because I think it's a choice that you make.
But the rate at which it adds up is sneaky. It's slippery.
Yeah, I think it's different for us than it is for most people because we travel on the road so much. You cannot bring in, well, Randy would say otherwise.
Yeah.
But you
He'd say,
cannot
just do it.
You cannot bring enough food for two people on a plane to last you a week.
No.
So like you're gonna be eating out, you're gonna be doing stuff. Mind you, when you're a gig worker, you can eat the gig food, which sometimes just isn't good.
For my wife, I always handle it. But what I'm saying is, yes, we're different in the sense that we're on the road a bunch, but even you look so offended.
I'll handle it.
Even off the road, things just add up so much. You could hit just fast food spots and still be paying 30 plus. We ordered lunch yesterday from The Habit.
That was a nice thing.
It was 3 salads essentially.
It was $40, $46.
Yes, for salads.
Yeah, I mean, I did get an order of fries
at a fast, quick, casual, whatever
it's
type
expensive.
restaurant. So it's almost $50 for 3 salads. That's what I mean by adding up
For
fast.
sure.
Just for one meal on one day.
Yeah. I feel like I have told you, and I try, like when I order groceries, I'm like, we're going to eat the food that we've done, and I'm going to make leftovers and we're going to eat it, and that's going to be great. Maybe we'll eat out once for something, but like we're going to try to eat at home. So I don't really feel like I struggle with the grocery, with that portion of it. It's mostly you in Brooklyn. I'm not going to lie. Cause you're like, do you want to drive through and get French fries? Do you want to get
Okay. The $5 are not going to kill us, but the 50
you can $5
might.
yourself to death.
You know what's really going to sneak up on us and kill us? Target. And more specifically, Legos.
I have not bought a Lego for myself in a long time.
She's right, because she doesn't have to.
My brother bought me a
Because she has
Lego.
minions to buy them for her.
My brother bought me a Lego for my
like me.
birthday. And you bought me one because it was on sale.
It was still $70.
I didn't ask for it. I don't know why we're getting into this.
We could get 4
Isn't
salads.
a part of finances.
Yeah, of course it is.
Just tell me that I have a Lego addiction. I don't.
I'm not. I'm just saying it's a sneaky category.
Sure, it's a sneaky category.
It's a sneaky category.
And the truth is I don't agree with you that it's a sneaky category. I think it's a choice that you make to be like, I'm going to spend $70 on this Lego. Like, you don't have to. You just do. We just do.
You know what? I could give you that, but Target in and of itself is a sneaky category.
That's true.
You can't go to Target without spending at least $70.
Yeah, but I don't think it's considered a sneaky category. I think it's a decision that's made to say I'm going into Target, and you know that if I'm walking into Target, I'm walking out with more than what I'm going in for.
You sound like the chick from the podcast you were describing, where she's like, I could spend $600 at Target.
I could not spend
$600
at Target. That is too much money to spend at Target. But what I am communicating to you is that I am a person that I'm like, if I knew that we didn't have the financial resources to do
you
that,
wouldn't do it.
I'm not going into Target because I know that I'm not going in there without that. I'm going to order ahead and just put the things in my cart that I need and do it that way.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think it's a sneaky category. I don't think there's very many things that are a sneaky category. And I think if it's a sneaky category, it means that you're not actually looking at your finances. You're not keeping track of what you're paying for. It is a little bit difficult because I do feel like there are sneaky categories in my life.
Like what?
Subscriptions.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is because it's things that you maybe signed up for prior to us being together. And so I don't actually know.
Fault.
It's not your fault because I'm sure there are things that I have too.
Well, like before we were married,
Yeah.
you're like, what is this Netflix?
No. But it's true. There are some things that you share with your mom and your sister that I'm like, do you pay for that? Does your sister pay for that? Like, who pays for that?
That's true.
That I just don't know. And it doesn't matter, but like, I'm just unaware of like what we do. And then there are other things that are covered. Like our Netflix is covered by our T-Mobile stuff, which is nice.
Not a sponsor.
It covers part of our Audible, which I just need to put on a pause because we have like 1 million credits.
27.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Let me ask you
It's
a few more
lifetime.
things about finances. How do you feel about putting a vacation on a credit card?
For us, totally fine. But we
Okay.
have no debt.
That is true. I will say this. We've been really diligent about not having any debt.
Yeah. I mean,
which is probably not the situation many people are in.
yeah, which
Like we have no car payments,
Yeah.
nothing, no mortgage, nothing.
we just have, I guess what I would refer to as like active debt, where like we put stuff on credit cards that we pay off every month, but that's just to get credit card points that we then use to get gift cards and Christmas presents. And I bought us Apple Watches recently. I used my points to get Apple Watches for each of us recently. So like, I use my credit cards to our advantage.
Yeah, so we'll get back to that question about vacation in a second, but I want to say this. That was one of the big changes that you made in my life was credit card points.
You never had a credit card.
No, never had a
Before
credit card.
me. Never had a savings account, never had a credit card.
Because Dave Ramsey said you don't need a credit card.
You do need a credit card. That's how you build credit card. That's how you build your credit score. Yeah.
Which my credit score is now somewhere around or over 800,
Mine
which is
too.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't steal my identity. I will
My social
Making
security,
a
I'm just
big
kidding.
problem for you. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but you can buy a lot of things on points, and that's been a game
Yeah.
changer for me.
But I would say you're going to go back to the question we're asking about putting a credit card or vacation a credit card.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I think it is individual. Like, I think you have to make a decision based off where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in debt, it's terrible to say, but I'm like, you probably shouldn't be going on a vacation until you're out of debt.
Whoa.
And it depends on how much debt you're in, right?
Hot
and like,
take,
and where
unpopular
you're at.
opinion.
Maybe it is, but it's true. And I think that's what most people would say to you. Like, the point of going on vacation or buying a Lego that's like $100 or whatever is because you're doing something that's above and beyond. But isn't the theory that when you're in debt, the whole goal is to pay that off as quickly as possible? Because what's happening is you're getting charged extra money. I remember when we made the decision to pay my car off. Because I had bought a car, was doing monthly payments. It helps to raise your credit, which is great. But then we got to a point where I was like, I can save $2,500 right now if I pay off the entirety of the rest of my car.
Yeah, and it sucks to do that, to be like, here's $3,000, $5,000, $10,000,
Whatever
whatever
it
you
was.
owe on it. You're
But
like, that hurts to do.
But I saved $2,500.
Right, and that's
which is no
what it's
small
about.
chunk of change.
Not at
That's
all.
a vacation in and of itself right there.
100%.
So that's what I just think it depends on where you're at. If you're in a bunch of debt and you're not paying it off, or you're not being able to afford the monthly payments, or even just that, you should be taking all of that money and putting it towards your debt to pay that off, because the interest rate is what kills you. It's not the debt itself.
Yeah.
It's the interest rate. And sometimes they're high.
Yeah.
Like, we thought, when we were shopping for a house, it was like 2.6% or something like that. But like, when my parents bought their house, it was 13%. This was way back when, right?
Yeah.
13% was the
interest on their mortgage.
the interest on their mortgage. But some of these insurance things are like 24%.
Do you call it insurance or
Interest.
insurance? Oh, interest.
Interest.
Interest. Got it.
Goodness. I was confused between insurance and not confused with what they are, but my
Just
mouth
the
my mouth wanted
enunciation.
to say insurance, but
Yeah.
I was like, interest. Your interest there, but isn't that a crazy interest rate? 24%. I'm like, that's insanity.
It's insane. And if you've ever walked onto a college campus on your first day and they're like, you could have a credit card, you're going to get some of the worst interest rates ever.
100%.
It is like made to screw you over.
Yeah. So all that to say, that's my hot take, is I think that if you're in debt, you shouldn't be going on vacation, because and you should not be going on vacation if going on vacation is going to put you in debt.
Yeah, that's a great
Like,
point.
if you don't, it's just an interesting thing. I have lots of thoughts on finances.
Great.
It is an interesting thing though, because I do think that people, they go, well, you put it on a credit card. It's on a credit card. That's fine. But if you pay with your debit, it's cash. Like, you're paying cash, which is true.
True.
But I'm like, for me, I don't think we look at it that way. I think when we put stuff on our credit card, we go, that's cash coming out of our account.
That's how I mentally
That's how I've always viewed
perceive
it.
Yeah.
I'm using my credit card because I'm getting points towards whatever, 5% cash back, 3% cash back, whatever it is for whatever I'm doing. But I'm not like, oh, like that's made up money and I still have X amount in my checking account. I'm like, okay, that's money that's like coming out. But I don't think everybody views it that way. And I think it's an interesting thing, because I've never, ever been like, oh yeah, that's just that one time when I was 20 years old.
Which is so funny. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Because that was a crippling amount of debt to you.
It was.
In fact, when I met you, you were so ashamed by it.
So ashamed.
You were like, I don't even want to have to tell you this. I was like,
it was embarrassing.
what's happening? Tell us what happened, the amount that was so debilitating for you, and the hero of the story.
I know, it's kind of funny now. When I was like 20 years old, I had a credit card that my parents, I think I had a credit. I had a couple credit cards, but I had a credit card, and it was Christmas time. And if you know me, you know that I really like to buy and give Christmas gifts.
Which is the opposite of me.
Yeah, I really enjoy the
I don't
Christmas.
like to receive gifts either.
And I really like the Christmas season. And so I really wanted to get my family.
Except for the hardly working sweater that Shim got us. That was great.
Yeah, that's a good one. But I really wanted to get my family, my brothers, my mom, and my dad some nice Christmas gifts. And so I put a bunch of stuff on a credit card. You have to know it's a different time, but I also was working for a church that was only paying me $200 a week.
Or maybe every 2 weeks. I don't even remember.
Oh, sorry, $200 every 2 weeks.
Because that's what I got paid, a stipend.
It was $10 an hour, and I was only allowed to work 10 hours a week. Don't take into account all of the volunteer hours that I put in, because I really worked a full-time job for this place. But there wasn't enough money to pay me. That's besides the point. But I was making like $200 every 2 weeks. and I had a credit card and I put a bunch of stuff on the credit card and I was $600 in debt. And
Which honestly though, that is no small amount of money.
no,
It just
it feels small now compared to where we are.
Compared to like where our credit cards normally sit, and we're like, let's pay
Just pay it off.
it off. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I just spent $5,000 on flights.
Yeah.
Pay it off. The check will come through.
Fingers crossed. And who was the hero in your story, Kel?
Well, I tried to pay my debt off for a really long time. I remember telling my mom about it and I was really embarrassed. And then for Christmas, the next year, my brother Ryan gifted me $600 to pay my credit card debt off. And it was truly like, I remember feeling so relieved and alleviated that like it was going to be paid off and I was going to be able to start fresh.
Like a new life.
Yeah, truly. It was a
reborn.
big deal. And so I paid off my credit card debt and then I have never gone into debt again. Truly, because I hated it. I hated the feeling. I didn't want to do it. I got smarter with my money.
Yeah, one of the ways that I've always thought about it was like, if you have debt, you actually don't have any money. Not like you literally don't have money, but it's like if you've got $5,000 worth of debt and $1,000 in your account, like you don't actually have any money. Like the math doesn't add up.
Yeah, math ain't mathin'.
Yeah, it's not mathing. And so I was always like, if I ever have any debt, I got to chip away at it and get it taken care of, or else you're not going to have any money. I think the first, like we talked a little bit about what you're supposed to have saved up in your savings or your 401k by the time you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
None of that even, yes, some of that starts, but it doesn't really start until your debt is paid off.
Yeah.
Because if you're still paying out the butt for debt, like you're not really able to save anything.
But I understand why it would be really hard for people who are in debt because like, you know, it's normally people in our age in debt because of student loans or...
Which is like the biggest scam of all the college stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll just give you loans that you'll be straddled with for the next 20 years.
Yeah, but you're supposed to be like saving money and have an emergency fund and all that stuff. And so I understand how that would be really hard to be like, okay, I'm supposed to be putting money into it. Like if I have this theory of like, I have no money, it all goes to this. I have to live. So I have to pay rent. I have to eat my food. I have to have enough gas money. I have to pay my insurances, right? And then whatever's left goes towards this, except... what happens if my car breaks down and I'm putting all my money towards my debt? Well, okay, I need to be saving some money for like an emergency fund. I understand how that could be really difficult and feel like, man, I'm never going to get out of this because maybe I have $1,000 extra at the end of the month that I want to put towards this $5,000 debt, but I need to save some of it just in case, or else I go into more debt.
Yep.
I get it. It'd be hard.
Honestly, when I think about finances, and this is not a healthy way to perceive them, but I'm like, the amount of money you have to earn and save for 50 different things, it's impossible. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, you have a kid? Well, that's expensive, but don't forget they're going to college one day, maybe. And also, oh, you got a girl. Well, they're going to ask you for money for their wedding, so make sure you've got that.
Yeah.
And it's like, how much stuff can we have saved while also paying off debt and just freaking living?
Yeah.
Just trying to live. I will say this, though. I wish there wasn't, this is not a hot take, but I wish there wasn't as much of a stigma about talking about finances.
Yeah, that's something I really struggle with, yeah.
Because you mentioned in the story that you were telling, you're like, I was so embarrassed to tell my mom. And I think embarrassment comes from a lot of places in terms of finances. Embarrassment of feeling poor or less than, embarrassment about having like made a mistake or maybe being in over your head.
Yeah.
Embarrassment about being labeled as... what would you say? Irresponsible with finances or dumb or not dependable. Like there's so many reasons not to talk about that stuff. But when it comes to embarrassment and shame and for this conversation in terms of finances, if you are in one of those situations, you should talk about it with people for a few reasons. One, there are people out there that might just help you out.
Yeah.
Two, and more importantly, it normalizes it and you'll realize that like you feel like you're the only one drowning in debt or struggling to make ends meet or whatever it is. You'll realize like you've got some good company in this category and at least you can find some community there, which sometimes you just need to know that you're not broken or wrong or whatever it is. And you might get some, I don't know, tips and tricks of how other people have handled their stuff. And it's not all good things potentially, especially if you use someone else's money for stuff that you weren't supposed to. But I think talking about it takes a lot of the stigma and harmful power away from it.
Yeah, for sure. That or finance is such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Like we all have it. We all are saving money. We're all just trying our best in this life, but like we can't talk about it. It's hush hush.
Yeah, and it's weird because this show is on the internet, so anybody can listen to it. So I'm less likely to be like, let's have totally transparent conversations. But with people we know,
I'm here.
We
for
talk
it.
about it. We don't really care about that stuff, like how much we make overall or per night or whatever, how much goes towards what, all that kind of stuff. And I hope that y'all have friends like that too, because especially if they're similar age, similar stage. As Zac Efron once said,
Oh my God.
we are all in this together. Yeah, we are. We're all stars. See our stars and make our dreams come true.
Nailed it.
Are those the lyrics?
Yeah, pretty close.
Nice. Never seen the movie. Anyway, I think it'll destigmatize it, but it is kind of crazy just trying to figure out how to manage just normal day-to-day life when it seems like everybody needs to have like a side hustle or an influencer stipend or an Uber Eats account that they're dropping off for.
Yeah, I would say this though. I do think while I think that there are positives to social media, I think the biggest negative social media has given our generation is that most social media influencers and content creators are it's all about like what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have the Prada bags, Louis Vuitton bags. They have like the really all this expensive makeup. They have the nice cars. They have the nice clothes. Like it's kind of all of that stuff. Or they go to the nice like the fun restaurants. And I think social media tells us that, oh, if we're not doing this, we're not cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think that there is a piece of that too, where I'm like, you may not have the money, but you're seeing people do that. And so either you're trying to be an influencer, so you're buying the things to do that,
right.
but you don't have enough followers, you're not making any money or whatever that looks like. Or you're like, this is what's going to make me look like I'm put together and look cool and look like I'm good. So let me get this thing, even if you don't have the money for it.
Right.
And it's weird. Yeah. So what are my thoughts? I think it's weird for me as someone who like, we're comfortable. We have quite a bit of money. And like I said, no debt, not a lot of expenses.
We have the money that we have because we live below our means.
Yeah. But like, it is just funny to me that like, I was saying this the other day, like this is personal now.
Okay.
My dream, it's a weird dream.
Tell me your dream, lady.
Is I want to own a Prada bag one day. It's
Yes.
like a big deal for me. I don't know why, but it's like what I want. They're like $2,500, which feels like a lot of money. For a bag, 100%. A bag. But I haven't bought it yet. And I've told you, whenever I book a $10,000 event is the time that I will buy that bag for myself. On the flip side of this, we were talking the other day and you were like, yeah, it's probably time for you to like buy a new computer. So you should just buy it. Yeah, just spend like $3,000. Totally fine. No big deal. You can just totally buy that. I was like, it is just such a funny thing. Cause I was like, they're basically like the same amount. I get that one is different than the other.
So different.
Hear me when I say, but still, even with that, I was like, I could probably get some more use out of this computer. I don't really need to do like, it's okay. I can like go through and delete some stuff.
All of your purses and you're like, ew, old, crusty, gross. You know what I need? A Prada bag.
I'm not saying that. I love my purses. And I am not saying that about anyone. I use all my purses. I love them. You bought me my new bag that I love so much that I use.
All your fanny packs.
I do. And I use my side bag I use my backpack and I have I did buy a $300 Dior bag last year. That was like a big deal for me, but it came with a bunch of makeup in it too.
That's true.
And so it felt worth it. It's like, this is like a weird thing, but I just think it's
not even a bag. It's like a mini suitcase.
It's a clutch. It's a clutch.
It looks like a small size of like the suitcases you'd see in a movie handcuffed to someone because they have $1 million in them.
It's a clutch.
Except it only has like $1,500 in it because it's small. It's not like
that's
you don't
right.
need
They're
to
like, you
handcuff
mean
it.
this money? Just kidding.
Clink. You're like,
it's
are
a
you
bunch
proposing
of $1
to me?
bills? Yeah. It's cute though. But I just think it's so funny because I think it gives you a different perspective when you are saving or do have money and all that stuff that like, I'm like, could I go out and buy a Prada bag right now? Yes, I could. This is so weird to talk about. Will I? No.
No, you won't.
You don't tell me what to do. You don't know where all my cash is.
You still have that secret
I don't know
bank
if I should
account.
talk about that, but Yeah.
The locations of your cash.
I also-
Here's another financial tip. Hide cash everywhere. Bury it in your backyard. Put it under
Oh my gosh,
a
don't.
pillow for the tooth fairy.
No, I am also a weird person that likes to have a cash on me. So I do have cash on me all the time, which I know is like a faux pas and you shouldn't have cash. I'm like, you don't know.
Not really. It's not that you shouldn't. Most people just don't.
Yeah, because everything is card. No one really ever takes cash anymore. But I do have a bunch of cash. Who knows why?
My dad used to put cash under the floor mat in the driver's seat of his car.
That's so weird.
He'd be like, "Oh, let me just go get $20," and he'd pull up the mat
Yeah.
and grab
and
it.
your mom
Who knows? She hides stuff
hides
everywhere.
them envelopes around the house like it's Easter.
It's
I'm just
Easter's a
kidding,
good
it's
time
not.
of year where you're like Easter egg with candy, an envelope with $100.
With $100. Just kidding. It's not like that at all. No. Oh, gosh, finances are such a weird thing.
Yeah,
I'm even feeling uncomfortable now talking about finances. I'm like embarrassed that I was like, I want a Prada bag. I'm not buying one, everybody.
I think that's what we should
But
do.
also,
is
I'm not in any debt, so I'm going to debt for that.
every time you have a financial purchase that I deem ridiculous, I'm gonna make you talk about it on the show and see how you feel.
I don't think it's just a dream, and it's a weird one, and I know it, and that's why I haven't bought one
Look,
yet.
girl, it is. There's nothing wrong with wanting fancy
Yeah,
stuff.
and like I said, I haven't bought it because there's a reason why. One day when I buy it, it'll mean something to me, and I'll be so excited about it. But I'm not there yet, and that's okay. I also feel really uncomfortable when I go into those stores.
Yeah,
Because I am a shopper that likes to look at the price tag and likes to know what I'm getting myself into. And
I don't want to ask.
well, I don't need
Yeah,
someone to
don't-
bring it out to me and be like, do you want this? And then me have to be like, how much is it?
But that's the truth. It's like, do I want something? Do I want to spend $3,000 on a bag or $3,000 on a computer? It's like a different thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I understand the value of the computer. I don't understand the value of the bag.
I know, it's a
so
girl
like,
thing.
Just put no. I don't even mean it that way. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, like in terms of put a price tag on it.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm going to ask.
Yeah. But yeah.
Or I'm going to want to
Anyway.
know. But there are people, I suppose, who are just like, it's great. Bag it up. They don't even care.
100%. 100%. And I'm not that person.
Me
Maybe one day if
either.
you make it, when
Hey,
you make it,
I've-
I'll be able to walk in and walk out with tons of bags. But right now I'm like, is it on sale?
I would still give you so much crap. Even if we had $1 bazillion, I'd be like, why? You know what we could use that money for? How much suffering we could alleviate in the world?
For sure. Just be happy that I'm not one of those crazy people that's like, I bought Brooklyn her first Louis Vuitton bag.
Do you remember?
Because there's people that do that.
Do you
And
remember?
their kids are like 2.
Do you remember Farrah Abraham?
No.
She was one of the MTV Teen Moms.
No.
Well, she
I
got
didn't watch any of those shows.
she got in a lot of trouble in like 2014 or something for one. I believe it was waxing her 2 or 3-year-old daughter's eyebrows while she slept
That's crazy.
because she didn't want her to have dirty eyebrows
Yeah,
or a
people are crazy.
monobrow. What do they call
Yeah.
it?
Unibrow.
Unibrow. Thank you. Monobrow.
And-
And then telling her at the time 4 or 5-year-old daughter that she would pay for any cosmetic surgeries that her daughter wants if she felt uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh. That's
She's
crazy.
4.
Doesn't need them. That's never going to be me. So don't worry, babies.
Anyway, but we could alleviate a lot of suffering if we had that much money. We don't need product bags. They're dumb. Another slippery thing that I just remembered. A slippery category.
You got 10 minutes.
You've got 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
Gas. Olean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jiminy H crickets, y'all. We spend a lot of money on gasoline.
I know.
I guess
You're
what
right.
we're saying is if you don't budget already,
But everything, it's
maybe
hard.
budget.
I do think it is hard because I think that, sorry, I need to look up to this too. I'm so sorry. I do think that certain things, like in our society now, you can budget for stuff, but you never know how it's going to change week to week. Like
Yeah.
groceries are so much more expensive
But that's
now
the thing.
than
It's
they've
like
been.
you can budget or you can be like, it is what it is. It costs this much for chicken.
But you still need to,
so-
yeah. And I think there are certain things like that, but you still need to be able to budget. And it is something that I really would like to do better next year.
Well,
Because I always wonder, how much more could we save if we just budgeted a little bit more?
I know. I think about that too. And then I get sad because I'm like, but I like having fun.
And I think we can still have fun. But like we talk about this a lot. We don't enjoy, this is bougie too. We don't enjoy like mid-priced places to go and eat dinner.
Mhm.
Like that's not a fun date night for us necessarily because we just walk away going, wow, we spent a lot of money on like mediocre food that wasn't fun. Like we know the places we like to go. And
It's
I
just-
would
just in Taifeng.
just in Taifeng. I know that I would much rather like forego 3 date nights out
Mm-hmm.
to be able to go to Din Tai Fung once with you because we're going to have a great experience. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to really enjoy the food. We're going to have great conversation. It's going to be great. I'd rather do that and then save the other money for cute date nights in.
I agree.
Or something like that. And I wonder if we really tried that next year. I'm just curious to see like how much money would we actually save?
Not enough to stop. I don't know. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe. Here's the deal. Not the reason why I want to talk about finances, but part of the reason why finances is always kind of on the table for talking is that it's a big problem for a lot of people and for a lot of couples. It's like the number one or two reason that like the number one reason couples divorce. I'm grateful that we haven't run into, not that we haven't run into financial problems. Floods will do that. But like, it's just never been, maybe it's because we don't see the money that comes in as like your money versus my money, which maybe we did at the beginning. Do you remember that? Or
no.
Or was this a different relationship I was in?
Probably a different relationship. I don't think that's ever how we did stuff.
No, we've always been.
It was always our money.
Yeah. Well, people who have listened to the show from the beginning have heard this, but we've always had the philosophy of when she succeeds, we succeed. When he succeeds, we succeed. Because we're partners in this thing. Like, we're committed to figuring this out together. So we haven't really had any big qualms about that. But do you think that one person in the relationship should be like have the final say with finances?
In our relationship, no.
Okay, how about the rest of the world?
Because I think that we talk about stuff a lot.
Which we also realize that we talk to each other much more than the average duo.
Yeah, but even today's a great example. On the way to the studio, I was like, hey, like, you've been talking about getting an Aura ring for a long time.
Yeah.
So I was going to get it for you for Christmas. It's like a $200, $300, something like that purchase.
$300.
And I was like, I can get that. That'd be a nice Christmas present for him. He'd enjoy that. But literally, I was like, hey, babe, do you want this thing? So I was going to get it for you for Christmas. But if you don't want it, I'm not going to spend the money. And you were like, no, it's a lot of money. So like we talk about everything and we say stuff. I think that if you are in a relationship, though, where like one person has a problem with spending, that the other person should have the say and the like, no.
I agree. But I know how that would lead to the feeling of like
divorce.
Like,
this is why it happens.
Are you my parent and I'm your kid? And you have to, it's like, I mean, if you're acting like a kid.
Yeah. And here's the deal. Finances are something that truly can destroy a person's life and a family.
Yeah.
Like that is what you need to survive. And if you are someone who's going to just keep spending money and keep taking loans out and keep opening credit cards and you've gotten yourself into so much debt, it can be crippling for your entire family. It can change the course of your life for years, depending on how long it takes you to get out of that. And it ruins your credit score, which means you can no longer get a house, get a car, open up more credit cards, help yourself get a loan, any of those things. Like it's really difficult. And I think if you are someone who cannot control yourself and doesn't want to put the work in to learn, you do need someone to tell you no.
That's true. I'm trying to think through some of the people in our lives, and it's not like everyone's great with money, but I can't think of anyone that's just reckless with their money and spending to the point where it's been damaging to their relationship. If you can think of them, let's say their names right now on the podcast.
I have nobody.
Okay.
I don't really think I have anybody. I don't think we have any friends that have like a spending issue.
I wonder if there's a little bit more of an understanding in our age group than maybe there was in older generations in terms of finances and stuff. I found this out now that we're coming to the end, but still finally dropping helpful things. Did you know women couldn't get a credit card on their own until 1973?
That's crazy.
You couldn't have had a credit card without like your husband co-signing it.
It's dumb.
Since the 70s.
Yeah, it's because I feel like a lot of women didn't really work.
Also, how is it that the 70s are still just 30 years ago?
I know. It's crazy. How much has changed?
I had a credit card before it's 50 years ago.
I have multiple credit cards before you.
Yeah, you did. I only have a couple credit cards now. But yeah, it's crazy to think that in our society, even though we're talking about it being the number one reason for divorce and relationships, finances, like women couldn't even get a credit card or really have control of finances, I suppose, since 1973. And even that, like, probably wasn't like, most women weren't like, I'll open a card now. They probably didn't hear about it, know about it, didn't have a husband who supported that sort of thing. Yeah. I just learned about this woman who's like in her 90s, and she's like, this is the first time I've ever voted because my husband passed away and he wouldn't let me vote as a woman.
That guy should
He's already
good thing
gone.
he's dead.
Yeah. But I was like, if that lady couldn't even vote, and she's probably been able to vote her entire lifetime.
That's crazy. He's not allowed to do that.
Oh, yeah.
What a terrible husband choice.
Yeah, a lot of that going around.
Yeah.
Also, terrible wife choices too. Really, just bad partner choices are. It is so much easier to make a bad partner choice than it is to make a good partner choice. That's what it comes down to.
You can save that for another time.
Should we have been each other's partners? Tune in next week to find out the answer.
The answer is yes.
The answer may surprise you.
Anyways, finances. I do have more thoughts because I was going to say just what I wish.
I just didn't want to interrupt you.
I was going to say, I just wish that it was more normal for people to talk about their finances and to be open. I think that is my hope. Unfortunately, I don't think we got into it very much in this episode of stuff.
Well, here's what I can say then is like, as much as I've been bad mouthing things like Dave Ramsey's class, I came from a philosophy and theology that was all or nothing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got older that I realized and learned the phrase, like, take what you can use and lose the rest. Like, when you get the message, hang up the phone. All different ways of saying, like, you don't have to buy into everything of everything you, like, every part of everything.
Yeah, but you can take the things that help you.
Yeah, if you wanted to take Dave Ramsey's course, it would probably give you the tools to get your debt down and gone years earlier. Do it. You don't have to carry money around in envelopes that are designated for all the different areas of your life because nobody that
That's
I
what
know.
a child does. Yeah.
Nobody knows how to do that or probably should be doing that. But there's things that you can do out there that will help the situation. Like I said, talking about it with people, even just hearing us talk about maybe some of our stories of how we have and haven't done that well, it's going to take some of that crippling power away from the financial situation that you may or may not be in. So talk to some people, see what you can do. But like Kellie said, man, if you let it go for too long, just like if you don't go to the dentist for long enough, you're not going to realize that you have a major problem until it becomes a major problem. And at that point, you're going to be like, had I dealt with this a year ago, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. If I started 6 months ago,
I wouldn't be here.
What's the thing?
6 months ago, you will have wished you had started today.
So start now.
That's it. That's all for this rambling week's
I know,
episode.
we rambled a lot.
But I hope you got something out of it. If not, we just got to hang out for 45-ish minutes.
Yeah, talking about finances.
Yep. Next week, we'll be talking about more stuff, 2 more stuffs, but that's going to be after tons and tons of gigs, tons and tons of hours of making things happen and just trying to hardly work through it.
That's right.
And that's what we hope for you and your week, is that you spend most of your time hardly working and some of your time hardly working through it.
That's it. We love you. I love you.
That's my favorite way we end the show.
I never know how to end this
like
show.
a Southwest flight, a little bumpy, but with lots of personality. Welcome to Hollywood. Bye.
Bye.